10 simple Stoic habits that can change your life. Have you ever noticed how sometimes being strong is exhausting? How it seems like everyone demands balance, focus, calm, but no one teaches how to get there? Stoicism is not a pretty speech about thinking positive. It is an ancient art of living amidst chaos, keeping the mind steady, the heart serene, and the soul at peace. In this video, you will discover 10 Stoic habits that can completely change the way you live, not with catchphrases, but with principles that shape the greatest thinkers in history: Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. Men who faced empires, losses, and internal battles with an almost superhuman serenity. You will understand how to master your emotions, protect your peace, strengthen your mind, and rediscover purpose in a world that constantly tries to distract you from yourself. But attention, this video is not for those who want momentary motivation. It's for those who want permanent transformation. So, before we continue, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell, because here we don't talk about self-help. We talk about self-mastery. Welcome to your new way of seeing life. The first hour decides the day. The sun hasn't even fully risen yet, but the world outside is already starting to scream. Notifications, deadlines, noises, obligations, and even before opening his eyes, his mind awakens in a state of alert, like a soldier waking up in the middle of the battlefield. But the Stoic knows the day's battle is won in the first hour. It is in that silent moment, when the world is still asleep, that you decide whether to command your mind or be dragged by it. A glass of water, an open notebook, a deep breath, small actions that seem insignificant, but shape the spirit like a sculptor shapes marble. Each gesture is a choice between chaos and clarity, between noise and direction. Seneca would say that he who does not know where he is going, no wind is favorable. For it is here, at the break of day, that the wind blows in favor of those who have already set their course. And when the mind starts clear, the rest of the journey flows with purpose. So before rushing to the clock, close your eyes for a second and listen to the silence. It is the map, and within that silence, something whispers. The mind awakens before the body. But it is the heart that decides the direction. And it is precisely then, when the heart awakens together, that the next Stoic lesson emerges: how to walk among emotions without losing oneself in them. The silent step emotions are like tides. They come and go. Sometimes calm, sometimes furious. You might even try to fight against them. But it's like punching water. The more force you use, the more it engulfs you. The Stoic, however, learned another way. He does not try to tame the sea. He learns to navigate it. When anger arises, he does not explode. He observes it as one watches a storm forming on the horizon. He knows that thunder is loud but fleeting, that the lightning only scares. It doesn't destroy. If you are on solid ground, life in its usual irony always tests us when we are least prepared. A harsh word, a sideways glance, a subtle injustice, and here comes the fire. But it is in that instant, in that breath of seconds between the impulse and the response, that freedom resides. Breathing before reacting is like opening a crack in the prison. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over events." The secret is not to erase what you feel, but to feel without being swept away. Like the fire that warms but does not consume. The blade that cuts, but only when guided with precision. With each contained reaction, you build an invisible fortress, made not of stone, but of presence. And the more you know yourself, the less the world provokes you, because the chaos outside only has power when the chaos inside responds, and that is exactly why the next step is vital. To cultivate a ritual, so simple and constant that not even the storms can interrupt it. The unbreakable little ritual. Human mind loves grandeur. Immense plans, heroic goals, promises of starting on Monday. But the Stoic laughs at that. He knows that great fortresses are built with small bricks placed every day. The ritual doesn't need to be epic. It needs to be constant. It can be the coffee taken in silence, The notebook where you pour out the noise in your head, the brief look out the window before facing the world. These simple moments work like a spell, in a subtle reminder that discipline resides in the details. Epictetus used to say that no one becomes a master of themselves in a day. And he was right. It is the patient repetition, the measured step, the discreet effort that shapes character, like the drop of water that, without haste, pierces the stone, like the iron that, hammered every day, gains shape and shine. But be careful. The ritual is not imprisonment. It is direction. It is not a blind routine, but a lighthouse that keeps the path visible when the fog of doubt rises. And when you fulfill the small, the great stops seeming impossible. Some seek motivation. The Stoic seeks rhythm. He understands that the body gets used to it, the mind learns, and the spirit flourishes when constancy becomes its second skin. And it is precisely then, when the rhythm begins to pulse from the inside out, that the question arises which separates the ordinary from the resolute. Why am I doing what I'm doing? If this message is making you rethink your choices, take a deep breath for a second. Stoicism is precisely about that. Pausing, reflecting, and acting with awareness. So take this moment and subscribe to the channel. Here, every week we talk about self-control, inner strength, and Stoic wisdom applied to real life. It's not theory, it's practice. Come with us. The why that fits in the pocket, every warrior who forgets the reason for their fight ends up fighting against themselves. The Stoic knew this, that strength without direction is just noise. That's why he carried purpose like someone carries an amulet, small enough to fit in his pocket, but heavy enough to remind him of who he is. Purpose is not a beautiful speech in a frame, nor a tattoo of a cliché phrase. It is the discreet spark that ignites when you wake up without motivation and, even so, you get up. It is the why that remains when the how crumbles. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by war and betrayal, scribbling in silence. Do what must be done, not what is easy. He didn't write to inspire the world, he wrote to not lose himself. And that's what purpose does. It holds your seams together when the world tries to unravel you. But the curious thing is that it doesn't shout, he whispers. And the world, with its deafening rush, does everything to drown out that voice. Purpose is not what excites you. It is what sustains you when the excitement dies. It's a compass, not applause. So if you still don't know yours, don't search, observe. See what pulls you even when no one tells you to, what calms you even when everything around you is burning. It is there that your why is hidden, waiting to be noticed, and when you finally find it, small, raw, and true, you discover that the next challenge is not to feel, is to protect that purpose from the distractions that try to steal it. The closed doors of temptation. The modern world is a long corridor full of doors. Each one shines, calls out, promises something, pleasure, distraction, immediate comfort. And each click, each swipe of the finger is a doorknob turned without thinking. But the Stoic learned a hard lesson. Not every open door leads forward. Some make you walk in circles. Others tear you off the path and throw you into a labyrinth of empty promises. That's why he chose the rare habit of closing. Doors. Epictetus used to say that those who don't know how to say no to the world end up saying no to themselves. And it's true, because every time you give in to the temptation of just today, it's tomorrow who pays the price. Small concessions are like cracks in a dam. Sooner or later, everything collapses. Temptation is cunning. It doesn't come with horns and a trident. It arrives as a notification, an invitation, a compliment, a well-deserved rest. She knows how to convince you with the exact tone of someone who wants what's best for you. But every voice that whispers too much comfort, deep down, wants to lull you to sleep. The Stoic does not flee from temptation. He observes it, recognizes its scent, but does not follow it, because he knows that every distraction has a price. the focus that is lost, the time that slips away, the energy that disperses, and time. Time. It is the only asset that, once spent, cannot be recovered with gold or glory. So he organizes the environment as if clearing away traps, silences what steals his mind, simplifies what weighs on his shoulders, chooses the essential like someone protecting a flame in the wind. Closing doors is a silent art, and the key, curiously, is attention. And when you learn to protect that flame, you notice something subtle, that it's not the time you lack. It's the rhythm the world stole from you, and it is in it that the next lesson begins to pulse. 6. The delay that educates. We live in a time when everything screams for speed. We want instant answers, results now, recognition without waiting. But haste has a high price. It robs things of their depth. The Stoics saw time differently. For him, every delay was a kind of disguised master, patient and relentless. While the impatient one gets irritated, the wise one observes. He knows that life has the rhythm of the seasons, and that the flower that blooms out of time dies without fragrance. There is a secret wisdom in not rushing what is maturing, because some victories need the weight of days, of attempts, of pauses, even of boredom. Boredom, this modern villain, is in fact the fertile ground where the mind learns to wait. It is there, between one sigh and another, that ideas germinate. Seneca used to say that time heals what reason cannot, and perhaps he was talking less about wounds and more about formation, how character is only shaped under the heat of repetition and the cold of patience. The iron, after all, does not become a sword in a single blow, but, ironically, the more man tries to rush life, the more it makes him wait. The delay is a mirror. It shows how much we still need to learn to trust, not in chance, but in the process. So the Stoic sits in silence. While the world rushes by, he observes, breathes, and understands that waiting is not stopping. It is remaining true to what is still being born. Because the fruit picked before its time is beautiful on the outside, but bitter on the inside, and it is precisely in that interval, between effort and result, that he discovers the rarest power of all, the strength that comes from silence, the sound that calm makes silence has a sound. But few hear it. It is not the absence of noise. It is the presence of awareness. It is the interval between one thought and another, where the world seems suspended, as if even time stopped to breathe. While the world shouts opinions, the Stoic withdraws. He understands that not every debate deserves a response, nor does every provocation need an echo. There is more strength in a calm gaze than in 1,000 words spoken in haste. Silence is the refuge where the spirit is renewed. It is in it that chaos loses its breath, that anger dissolves, and that clarity whispers its truths softly. Who masters silence, masters the inner fire. Because there are battles that are not won by shouting, they are won by silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote amidst the war, and even surrounded by the clamor of swords, he found peace within his own heart. The external battlefield only echoes what already exists within us. And those who have inner peace transform the noise into learning. But silence also has its traps. It can heal or corrode, depending on what you choose to listen to within it. That's why the Stoic does not use silence as an escape, but as a tool. He sharpens it like one sharpens an invisible blade, ready to cut through confusion and reveal the raw truth. There is an irony in all this. The more a man seeks to be heard, the less he listens, and the more he remains silent with purpose, the more the universe seems to speak to him. It is in this sacred space, between the noise of the world and the whisper of the soul, that the next habit blooms, the art of being grateful even for what is not understood. The gratitude that hides in the shadows, gratitude, sometimes is shy. It doesn't shine in victories, nor does it appear at parties. She prefers the backstage, that moment when the chaos calms down, And you realize, almost without wanting to, that you are still standing. The Stoic understood this. He knew that gratitude is not about having everything, but about seeing what remains after the storm. It's the deep breath after the fall, the thank goodness I learned instead of the why me. Life, as ironic as ever, tests gratitude on gray days. On days when nothing goes right, when the coffee gets cold, the bus is late, the plan fails, and the world seems to mock your patience. But it is there, in the barren ground of frustration, that gratitude grows stronger, because being grateful when everything is going well is courtesy. Being grateful when everything falls apart is wisdom. Marcus Aurelius said that very little is necessary for a happy life, and perhaps the secret is this: realizing that happiness is not in additions, but in subtractions. When you remove the excess, what remains is the essential, and the essential, surprisingly, almost never makes a sound. Gratitude is like a candlelight in a dark room, small, but enough to guide you. It doesn't change the size of the night, but it changes the way you walk through it. And the more you light that light, the less fear you feel of the dark. After all, the Stoic does not give thanks for everything. He gives thanks despite everything, because he understands that even the thorn teaches something about the flower's perfume. And when this understanding truly settles in, something even deeper is born: character, the invisible face of the soul, which reveals itself only when no one is watching. 9. The invisible weight of character. Character is not what is said out loud. It is what echoes when the world falls silent. It is the discreet sound of conscience when no one is around to applaud or judge. It's the silent vow you make to yourself and keep, even if no one sees. The Stoics saw character as an invisible armor. It doesn't protect you from the blow, but it prevents it from defining you. Because the true test doesn't come when everyone is watching, but when only you know about the choice. It is in that tiny instant, the easy lie, the disguised advantage, the tempting shortcut, that the size of your soul is revealed. Epictetus used to say, "First, tell yourself who you want to be. Then do what needs to be done." Simple, but brutal. Because the modern world pushes you toward image, toward appearance, toward the showcase. But the Stoic lives from the inside out, and the shine they carry is not a reflection, it's a flame. Character is not born ready. It is forged in small renunciations, shaped in falls, consolidated in repetitions. Each time you do the right thing when it would be easier to pretend, a part of you grows stronger. And every time you ignore that inner voice, a crack opens, almost invisible, but fatal over time. The man of character is not the one who never makes mistakes. It is the one who, when he makes a mistake, does not try to justify it. He corrects, silently but firmly, and so in the eyes of the world, he may seem cold. But what he has is contained fire, the kind of fire that illuminates without burning. There is something almost poetic about it. While most build masks, the Stoic builds foundations, because one day, everything that is false falls, and only what is true stands tall. And it is precisely on this foundation of authenticity that the last and most noble habit is born: inner peace, the secret temple where everything else is sustained. 2. The silence where peace dwells. There is a type of peace that does not come with the sound of the sea, nor with the gentle touch of a slow song. It is more discreet. It resides in the intervals between one thought and another, in the moment when you finally stop fighting against what you cannot change. The Stoic discovered early on that true serenity is not the absence of problems. It is mastery of the response. The world may roar outside, horns, deadlines, voices, demands, but inside him, there is a place where none of that enters. A temple made of lucidity, built brick by brick with acceptance, awareness, and discipline. Marcus Aurelius called this refuge the inner citadel, and it is there that the Stoic retreats when chaos tries to invade. He closes his eyes and observes, not the problem, but himself in front of it. He realizes that the waves always come, but those who learn to swim calmly no longer fear the sea. Peace is not a gift. It is a daily work. It is the silent result of those who stopped seeking control and began to practice surrender. Not a surrender of resignation, but of wisdom, the understanding that the universe doesn't always get the timing wrong. We are the ones who insist on rushing the clock, and it's curious. The more man tries to dominate the world, the more the world dominates him. But when he turns his eyes inward, the world quiets down, because nothing is more revolutionary than someone at peace on a planet that profits from fear. This calm is not a prize. It is an achievement, state that arises from self-mastery and flourishes in simplicity. And those who find it realize something that changes everything. The strength is not in overcoming the storm, but in walking through it without losing one's center. And so, the cycle closes only to begin again, because tomorrow, before the sun rises, the Stoic will return to the starting point, where everything begins. In the mind, the invisible empire that governs the rest. And now do you realize how Stoic philosophy is not distant, cold, or ancient? It is practical, alive, a silent map to navigate turbulent days without losing oneself. These 10 habits are not commandments, they are reminders. Each one of them is a step out of chaos, a return inward where true strength resides. If any word here has sparked something in you, a thought, a reflection, a desire to start over, then the purpose of this video has been fulfilled. Remember, self-mastery is the greatest act of freedom that exists, and each dawn is a new chance to practice. Thank you for watching until now. You could be anywhere right now, but you chose to feed your mind. And that already puts you ahead of the majority. Before you go, subscribe to the channel, not just to receive more videos, but to walk together on this journey of strength, wisdom, and serenity. Here, we don't seek likes, we seek evolution. Until the next video, and may your mind remain calm, even when the world is not.